What's going on, everyone? It's Mike back again, and I am thoroughly chuffed to have Craig with me today, because the work that Craig has done, some of the stick that Craig has had, and equally, whenever you stick yourself on the internet as a face and you put your head above the parapet, you always get a bit of stick and abuse and whatever. And Craig has been absolutely fantastic. He is genuinely someone that I find really entertaining, whether watching anything. He's a really entertaining guy. So Craig, thank you ever so much for coming on to the dark side, I would say, for you guys, but I really appreciate you stepping over today and doing this video with me, mate.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me on. Look, when you've got a face like this, you got to expect a little bit of stick. Do you know what I mean? So I try and take it with a pinch of salt.
Oh, no, I think you're fucking beautiful. I mean, I'll swap you for my co-host John any day of the week.
I'm sure John loves you for that one.
Oh, fucking, well, he fucking doesn't. Let's just get straight into it. Obviously, it's probably a bit of a bad start to the week for Liverpool and a bad end to the week. What did you make of the game as a whole?
Yeah, look, it's difficult to sum it up in a few sentences, but we got what we deserved, I think is the fair point. I mean, as a football fan, whether you're an Everton fan, a Liverpool fan, whoever you support, the first thing you want to see from your team, and especially Liverpudlians or Scousers in general, whether this is blue or red side, they'll forgive a lot if you see the effort. If you see that they're playing for that badge, if you see that they're busting a gut, you'll forgive nearly anything. And I didn't see that a lot of the game from our side. And that's the disappointing thing. You can always accept the results. You can always accept getting beaten. But, you know, when you've had players that have performed to the level that these lads have for us for 3 or 4 years, and then you go into a derby, you know, I'm not from the city of Liverpool, but it still means a lot to me. I can tell you I've lost sleep since that, as have a lot of my friends. And yeah, it just wasn't good enough on so many levels, mate. But I don't want in any way to take away from Everton's win, because they absolutely earned that victory, and I have no problems with that. My only gripe is with my own team.
Yeah, I think, look, I think that's a really honest assessment. I think from an Everton perspective, and again, I'm like you, I'm not from the city of Liverpool. I've got family who are all Scousers. My dad's a Scouser, but I am not a Scouser. So I have a lot of people say things like you're a wall, etc., etc., etc. But it doesn't stop you. It doesn't stop the feelings. It doesn't stop me having a shit belly in the morning, absolutely panicking before kickoff. It doesn't stop me thinking about how we can go to Anfield and get a result. And people, you know, 21 years we haven't got a result at Anfield. It was such a huge result for Everton. And to cap it, it was a good performance. Liverpool had loads of the ball. You know, they did. And they had opportunities to score. Jordan Pickford had probably the best game he's had in a blue shirt, I would say, in the time we've had him. But there was a lack of cutting edge with Liverpool. And I was going to say this, and, you know, there'll be a lot of Everton fans that might say that I'm a bit pondering to Liverpool. But do you think it's because of the amount of games Liverpool have played with not the biggest of squads over the, as you say, 3 years?
Well, I suppose just to touch on your Pickford point, he made some great saves, but I thought Michael Keane was a rock for you guys. Everything that went into that box, Michael Keane was on the end of and clear, and I thought he had a fantastic game for you guys. I'm not someone that wants to sit here and make excuses for anything. We have a lot of injuries, yes, but, you know, I still think where we are this season is what you see with a lot of teams, 3-4 year cycles, a bit of burnout, few injuries, both clubs from Merseyside, I think, as well. A lot of clubs have been affected by no fans inside the stadium, and it's a whole host of things. There's no excuses for me. There's no reason as to where we are. You go into the season with 3 first-choice centre-backs and you call yourself the, you know, biggest club in England or one of the biggest clubs in the world. You should not have that situation where we don't have a 4th-choice centre-back. So some of it was of our own making. Some of it was a bit of bad luck, but all in all, it just hasn't been a good enough season all around for the calibre. Like, if you think about it, after Christmas time, we were still 5 points clear, if my memory serves me correct. And then you go into the January market and, you know, you've got your 2 first-choice centre-backs out for the season. Matip went a little bit later in the window, and you did nothing until the end of the window. And come the end of January, we were already out of the title race and gone. And therein lies the difference. Like, we could have maybe... And it's difficult because I say we could have done it, but there's no guarantee that anybody coming into the Premier League is going to hit the ground running. So there's always that risk. But certainly not acting didn't do us any favours. But again, That's our problem. That's what I was saying. I don't want to come on here and give anything other than credit because, as you said, you waited 21 years for it and you earned the win on the day, and it sucks on my side and it kills me. But I always try and call things as I see them, and we didn't deserve anything.
Yeah, that's huge respect to you there. That's huge respect because, you know, there's always the stuff on Twitter that you see backwards and forwards, of banter. Even the Everton website, even the Everton admin on Twitter were giving a little bit of, a little bit of stick and banter and stuff. And it was a nice look. It was a nice feeling from Everton. You know, I was 6 the last time Everton went to Anfield and won. I don't remember the game. I probably didn't watch it. I've seen the goal, God knows how many times, because we've had this sort of hoodoo on our back where we haven't got the mentality. We can't go to Anfield. We bottle it against the Reds, and it was really weird for an Everton fan to have. And it is down to the manager, Carlo Ancelotti. Before that game, in his press conference, simply say, "Look, we won a good result." He didn't go there with any nerves. He went there as if it was a normal game to him, and that flowed into them players that, you know, the Shaman Colemans of this world, the Sigurdssons, the Michael Keanes, the Pickfords, the players who have been there a few years now. They didn't have the same mentality that they've had under previous managers of being scared of Liverpool and bottling it against Liverpool. And it was a joy to see from an Everton perspective. And the player that impressed me the most from the Everton side was, as you rightly say, Michael Keane. I thought he really stood up. But another player was a Merseyside lad, was Tom Davies. I thought he was absolutely phenomenal in the middle of the park for Everton. And he had a tough job. I mean, you know, a lot of people are criticising Thiago on Twitter and stuff. And there's no doubt he's a quality footballer. And he just weren't instrumental in that game at all.
Couple of points I want to touch on there. Firstly, the manager one. When you have somebody like Carlo Ancelotti giving you a team talk, somebody who's won the Champions League as a player and a manager, somebody who all football fans, myself included around the world, can have nothing but the utmost of respect for, you know you're talking to the real deal. So when you guys got him in, that was a very good piece of business to get him to manage it. Yeah. And, you know, the dressing room have listened to him from your side. And I've got 2 guys on my channel who are 22 years of age, and neither of them have ever seen Liverpool lose at home to Everton in the top division of English football. I was around back 21 years ago, so I've seen it happen. But Tom Davies, as you said, he went out there and fought and he battled, and we spoke at the very start about wanting to play for the badge and giving it 100%. You don't have to be the most skillful player in the world in a derby at times. How many times over the years have we seen form goes out the window, for the old cliche? And yeah, he was very good. I think Sky gave him man of the match, if my memory's correct. I think I read on the Sky website he got man of the match in that game. From our side, I'm just baffled as to why Klopp took Curtis Jones off. I really don't get that. I mean, somebody who one's a local boy, 2 was probably our best midfielder on the park, to me, anyway, on the day, and certainly looked like he wanted to create something and was up for the fight and had fresh legs. And I was baffled by that decision.
I was going to touch on Klopp, but we might as well do it earlier. I'm not saying, I would say a very small minority of the Liverpool fan, but it might not, but you can probably answer it better than I can. But there is all of a sudden people calling for Klopp to be sacked, and I don't get it personally. I don't understand what he can do. You know, as you say. You know, I think a lot of it behind the scenes at Liverpool is regarding FSG, and I don't think they've backed him. Certainly, as you rightly say, they needed a centre-back, and they didn't go out and get one.
And Klopp came out and said he wanted a centre-back. That was the interesting part for me. He broke ranks, which is not something we've ever seen from him. Jurgen Klopp to me is a god. Jurgen Klopp has given me the best 3 or 4 years of my life supporting this club. I wasn't around early 80s, late 70s when we were winning everything for fun. I've seen us win some league titles, of course, but this man has come in and rebuilt us from the ground up with regards to the spirit in the dressing room. So for me, it's going to take an awful lot more than one poor season to shake Jurgen Klopp or to make me doubt the man. I think it's just at a point where we spoke about it again at the start. There are some mitigating factors, but yeah, we need to refresh. And football is cyclical. You often see the great sides of Barcelona, United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Real, whoever it might be. They go in 3-4 year cycles, and some of these players are burnt out mentally. Klopp's worn them out probably as well, and he needs to be back. Here's an interesting enough stat for you. Since we won the Champions League, we're plus 1.2 million net spend, something along those lines. Now that's Champions League winners, Premier League winners, television revenue coming out our backsides, but yeah, we weren't complaining. And we weren't complaining because rightly we were winning stuff. And we were very clever in the market. We were very clever about the players we sold and when we brought them in and who we brought in. And we've had a great success rate. So for having one poor season, I think it's very petty and just shows how spoiled some of us have become to see the toys going out with the pram about the manager. I don't know a single genuine Liverpool fan that is Klopp out. I've yet to meet one. I've a few that are anti the owners for sure. But not the manager.
Honestly, it's really, really refreshing hearing just honesty. And I've got to say, we had LFC day trippers on as well. I spoke to Grizz, and he was incredibly honest as well. So it's credit to you guys. You know, you just sort of accepted it was a good performance by Everton. Didn't deserve anything. You know, we move on. In terms of the game, then. Obviously, we did play well and we nullified the attack. There was 2 good moments, you know, from an Everton perspective. Obviously, our first goal, I think Thiago that gives the ball away in the middle to Decore with a poor header.
There was a bit of head tennis going on, and Thiago was the second one that headed it, and Decore plays it down. He rolls it across to James Rodriguez, and from your point of view, a slide rule pass through to Richarlison and a great finish. From your side, absolutely quality goal. From our side, there are questions to be asked. But look, it was a moment of quality from the pass and a very good finish from Richarlison. There's no two ways about that. Like, I'd be a liar if I sat here and said anything else.
Yeah. Do you think because that goal was so early, it sort of because obviously Liverpool hadn't been great at home, you know, for 3 games beforehand. Do you think that was sort of the early goal was not a nail in the coffin because there's still 90 minutes to go, but do you think it was a bit of a put them on the back foot going, oh shit, how are we going to break down quite a stubborn Everton side now? Or do you think literally the players just couldn't put the ball in the net?
We looked rattled from the kickoff. If you remember, Kabak misjudged an aerial ball and headed it straight out for a corner. I think we put ourselves on the back foot straight away. When you go into a derby, you want a couple of things. You want to settle into the game. You want to let the other side know you're there. Let the players know you're there. A few tackles. And we didn't get that time because you came out of the blocks and just went at it. And look, the goal came after 3 minutes because... 1, you got the turnover and you showed the quality that we didn't seem to have in the final third at the other end. It's weird because you see so many clips of so many different people, you have assumptions of them, and people assume I'm this toxic, bitter, angry lunatic, but that's just during watch-alongs, I promise you. I think we're all the same when we watch our own clubs, but it hurts me. Was I looking forward to coming on here and doing this from a personal level to talk to you? Of course I was, but from a Liverpool perspective, to come on and face up to a 2-0 home loss, no. But that's what it's about. You've got to be gracious in defeat, even if it's to your most bitter rivals. And that was a quality goal. I think I've my own thoughts of the defensive side of it, but yeah, it had to be fucking Richarlison, didn't it? It had to be, that's the only, it had to be him, didn't it?
I was going to say that. It's like Everton fans with Robertson. We can't stand Robertson. We can't. I can't stand him. There's no doubt he's a good player. I'm not going to sit here and say he's not a good player, but I almost hate the man. But it's the same with these players for you guys.
We all have these players, whether it be Suarez for us or Costa at the time or Richarlison. There's always one player at your club that your own fans absolutely love, idolise. You know, he makes those crunching tackles. He's a bit snidey. And Robbo is that fella for us at the minute, you're right. So from the inside, yeah, we love him, of course we do. And I'm sure you guys the same with Richarlison.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Let's get on to the second goal then, because there's going to be a lot of people who are going to probably crunch both of our thoughts here, because I'm not of the opinion this is a stonewall penalty like some Evertonians are. I think we get a little bit lucky. I'll give you my bit first. I genuinely think he kicks the ball, he shoots. I think when it rebounds, I think he goes to hit it. As he goes to hit it, Trent's head is there. He clearly hits his head, but I think he still can make contact with the ball, and Trent's leg is raised, and I think he catches his leg, and that's what gives the penalty. Do I think it's a bit fortunate? Absolutely. I'm not going to sit here and say it wasn't. That's what I think. What's your thoughts? I'll probably leave now, shall I?
It's taken me 2 days. Honestly, it's taken me 2 days. My initial instinct was, and this was right at the moment.
Yeah.
I didn't even think, I wasn't expecting the referee to blow the whistle for anything. I thought, that was a good save by Alisson. And then I see the ref point. So then you start backtracking and thinking, and you look at it. Do I think it was a penalty? No. But if it was a penalty and the referee is the only decision that matters here, not mine, it should have been a red card, probably, if we're being honest about it. And look, I still don't think it was a penalty. And I'm also a little bit annoyed that the ref barely glanced at the monitor. But that, again, even in my staunch belief that I don't think it was a penalty, and I fully appreciate other people disagree with me, and I can promise you this is my honest opinion. This isn't me being a Liverpool fan. My opinion doesn't matter one jot. The only one that matters is the referee. He gave the penalty. Sigurdsson stuck it away. It's 2-0. We move on. I don't think it would have really affected the result too much. People can say, yeah, look, we would have still been in the game. One goal would have got us a point, but we never looked like we were going to score. I can understand both sides of this. I really can understand that. It's probably a good incident to use to referees to train and to explain, because that could be a proper 50-50 show, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But Mike, I always try and go off my gut instinct, and I never for 1 second in the split moment thought he was going to point to the spot. I just thought it was a good save. And
yeah.
But I do get the point that he definitely had a tap in there. If he hadn't have collided with Trent either way, or if Trent fell, whichever way you look at it, he definitely had a tap in. That he was going to put the ball in the back of the net. There's no arguing about that.
Yeah, and again, it's a good view to have, and it's a really fair comment you've made there about it being a 50-50, because I think with VAR, I'm personally, I can't stand VAR. Like, I'd sack it off tomorrow if I could, because it sort of takes that debate out of football matches when they come up with these, I say it takes the debate out of football matches. It actually makes it worse when it's offside calls that are so close. Like, for example, the one you guys, I still think last season, I think Henderson's onside or Mane's onside, the derby that we had at Goodison this season, and you would have won. So, I still can't see where he was offside, but nevertheless, that's that debate that it causes. But you are right. I think it'd be interesting to see what referees do with decisions like that going forward, because it is such a split opinion. I know on Match of the Day, I can't remember. I don't really watch Match of the Day, to be honest. I think they talk a load of shit. But they watched it, and I think Shearer said it was a penalty, and then the other guy over the way, I think it was Micah Richard, he said he was unsure about it. I just think it was a game that Everton went into. They tactically got it right. We probably did get a shade of luck on the penalty, but I do think it was a penalty because of that leg move. I think
I'll tell you what, all I ever want with this VAR stuff is the referee to make the decisions. The referee had the final say. And if that referee had have paused 10 seconds at that monitor and came back with the same decision, I think I'd probably feel a lot less frustrated about the decision. Yeah. He just walked over, and I don't even know if he's seen it, if he had a chance to look at it. And to me, I want the man in the middle making the decisions, not people in Stockley Park. But the referee initially did make the decision. That was his call first of all, and then he went back over whatever he heard. Maybe he was told, just revisit this just to make sure you're 100%. And look, he made the decision. Sigurdsson stuck it away. We move on. But it is an interesting one for the future for conversations, because it does seem to have divided some people. Like, I remember Goldbridge messaged me saying he thought it was Stonewall. And I thought, okay, whatever about maybe a penno, I don't know if I'd class that as Stonewall. And there's been some we've had for Salah as well that it's a modern day penalty. I think it's the way us old schoolers would look at this.
That is a fair assessment, I would say. From an Everton perspective, let's not talk about Salah's penalties. Jesus Christ. No, don't do that. Let's get on to the rest of the season then. Obviously, Liverpool currently find themselves outside the top four, which would definitely not be where you'd want to be. Where can you finish this season? I have watched a clip of you. I have watched a clip of you saying you're on the fence 50-50 about top four, but
I am 50-50 about it, and I think fourth is probably the best that we can do. The game we've got Sheffield United, then we've got Chelsea. That Chelsea game is going to be huge. Now, obviously, West Ham are 5 points clear of us as we stand after their good win against Spurs. And, we've no God-given right to get top four. But I tell you what I do want. I would rather know Europa League football and finish lower down the table than to have to go Thursday, Sunday. The only benefit I can ever see from the Europa League is that you get maybe blood through some youngsters. But apart from that, it's horrendous travelling to some parts of Eastern Europe we've never heard of before. And I know I probably sound like a bit of a spoiled fan here. I can understand any comments on that. But the other side of that is that it would give us time to really focus next year to make sure that we put things right and make sure that we would get into the Champions League places, make sure that we push for a title. And it really is a 50-50 for us. And we've got to turn it around quickly, or there's going to be a big wake-up call financially for our owners and for the caliber of player that we could perhaps go to try and attract. You've seen the Mbappe links to Liverpool, which is a stretch at the best of times, but you definitely aren't going to be in that conversation, or the Sancho conversation, or the Haaland conversation if you're only going to offer Europa League football, even with having Klopp as your manager and Van Dijk and all those great players.
I think that's fair to say, because it's Liverpool have played top level football to finals and semi-finals for the last 3 years. I think, is it 3 out the last 4 Champions League finals you've been in, or at least 2 out the last 3? Whatever it is. I know you've won one and you lost to Madrid a few years ago, etc. But this is different for Liverpool. This is different to what Klopp has actually built, because I don't think there's a single Everton fan that would say that Klopp hasn't done a really good job at Liverpool. He's took a team that were struggling to keep hold of maybe the top 4, top 6 to a degree, and he turned them into title challengers, the Champions League winners and title winners. You can't disrespect the man. I was asked that Grizz asked me such a good question the other day, and he said, based on managers, if you could go out and pick a Klopp or a Pep Guardiola, who would you pick? Now, as an Everton fan, obviously, I'm going to say Pep. But actually, if you break down what Klopp has done at Liverpool and how he's built that side, you can't not include him in that conversation, because he's done exactly what I want Carlo Ancelotti to do at Everton. I want him to build a side that's capable of winning things, and that's what Klopp's done. So I personally think it's an absolute fucking joke, any of the Reds that come out and say they'd sack Klopp. I find it absolutely ludicrous.
I think Grizz made a fair point there. I think I like to say the horses for courses. If I was to go into a factory now and put all the pieces together to come up with somebody that understands the culture of Liverpool, that understands the city, that understands what the fans want, you got to come out with something looking like Jurgen Klopp. So Pep Guardiola is an absolutely world-class manager. Carlo Ancelotti is an absolutely top-level manager. But it's about the right moment, the right club, the right project, and we needed Jurgen Klopp at that time. I remember we lost to Sevilla in the Europa League final, and at the time it was, could we get Mario Götze? And it almost seemed to be dependent on if we won and got into the Champions League, and we lost, obviously, and we missed out, and it took time for Klopp to rebuild, but season on season we had progress, and we lost. How could I sit here as a fan and question the mentality of a group of players and the manager that lost the Champions League final in heartbreaking style with Salah having to go off, to come back the next year and win it, but in the same year lose the league title by a point to City, who won 13 games in a row or something, to go and win it, and still have the mentality to come back the year after and win the league title. I've no right. We've been spoiled, as I've said, and I grew up. I remember being 8 years of age, going on a minibus to a football game, and most of my mates growing up were United fans. And I remember sitting on that bus at 8 years of age, singing to them, 27 years and you've never won the league. And little did I know, my friend, that 30 years later, I'd have been a 38, 39-year-old fella waiting for that league title to come back our way, man. So I take all this banter and all this. I tell you, I've had some great fun with Everton fans over the past week. Some real proper banter, some great funny videos. And I think there's a bit of a misconception about me that I can't take banter. I absolutely can. I love it. I embrace it. It's hilarious. And I've often said this as well. The Scousers that I've met when I've visited Liverpool many times are some of the nicest people I've ever met. Absolutely wonderful people, down there, very similar to us Irish, a real dry sense of humour, and obviously there's a lot of Irish blood and a lot of Irish heritage in the city as well. And I don't like the divide. I don't like trying to create a divide between fan bases. Look, when the chips are down, when the city's questioned, when there's problems at either club, you see the city come together. You see the Everton fans, the Liverpool fans. And that's to me what gives me hope, man, going forward, because we have banter, we have fun, we have our rivalries, but when the chips are down, I love that camaraderie, and I love that people step together and have each other's back. And there's been some moments that I've had supporting this club throughout the years where Everton have shown a lot of grace towards our side and vice versa. And there's also been some moments where both our fan bases have let our clubs down, and I think it's just about taking Twitter with a pinch of salt, and I've got to learn that as well, man, because I take a lot of I'm very insecure. I take a lot of stuff personally at times, but it's a learning process, isn't it? It's a learning process.
It's easily done. I mean, I got rid of my old Twitter. I got rid of my old Twitter and started again. For example, so I know exactly where you've been. Yes, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but you are on a bigger scale. You've got 10 times the subs that I have and we have on this channel. So we don't necessarily get the same level or the same number of interactions as you do, because you are in everyone's eyes the face of Anfield agenda, and to be fair, probably the face of online media for Liverpool. I'm not a massive fan of Red Men TV personally. That's no disrespect to them. That's just my opinion. But I sort of look at you as the go-to Liverpool channel. So I think it's only natural that some of the others also see you as that, and sometimes that's a negative rather than a positive. Do you get what I mean? I remember a few years, or about a year ago, there was something with you guys on Toffee TV. I'm not raising it. I'm just saying sometimes it goes over the line from either side. Again, I don't know the story, but it happens, and that's sometimes you've got to be able to diffuse the situation, and that's the most important thing. And
I have no problem with anybody criticising an opinion I have. I have no problem with anybody not liking the content we make. Where I draw the line is people who go to personal insults about appearance or about your family or about non-footballing matters. That's where I draw the line. Everything else is fair play. And again, the Toffee TV incident is in the past, and that's where it belongs. And I don't hold any grudges against anybody. I'm somebody that just wants to just keep my head down and graft, mate, and grow our channel and grow our community. And I've been very outspoken on the social media and mental health, and I always will be, because I've spoken to a lot of good people who've stepped away from social media, content creators, fans, for sometimes the level of toxicity, and it is just a small minority, but my God, they're organised and they're loud at times, and I'm not picking on any fan base here at all, because we have some, you guys have some, City have some, United have some. I just think people need to be a little bit more aware at times. I mean, criticize my opinion, tell me I'm talking out my hoop, no problem whatsoever. I'll enter dialogue with you and we'll talk it out, but there's just no need to be, he touches kids or any of that type of shite. Like, it's just nonsense. And that's where, to go back to the Toffee TV thing, that's where I drew the line with that, because they called me man baby and a few other bits and pieces, and I don't know either of those lads, never met them before in my life, and the first time I'd ever had any interaction with them is when that video came out. And I still don't hold a personal grudge against either of them, and I wish everyone the best in life, fella. I don't hold bad feelings. I'm somebody that tries to be positive, because Jesus, I've been through angry parts of my life, mate, and I've come out the other side of it. And that's why I try to be a bit outspoken on these things, because we're in a pandemic right now. You're stuck at home, I'm stuck at home, everyone's pissed off. If your club's not doing well, that only adds to your level of frustration. And I understand some people need to vent, and it's just an unfortunate side effect of what we do. As you said, you put yourself out there, I put myself out there, Red Men, Toffee TV, whoever it might be, we all put ourselves out there, and we're going to be judged. And I think we all accept being judged in our opinions, and we all accept being judged on what we have to say about the game. But I don't think any of us should ever have to defend our our looks, our families, or anything like that, or our health.
Yeah, do you know what, Craig? Honest to God, I think that's one of the best lines I've ever heard on this channel. I think that is, you are spot on, because there's no need for it. There's no need for it. And I'm really, really glad that you've said that, because I think it's important. I am pro mental health as well. There's been times I've struggled. This channel a year ago almost went. I was done with it. You know, we weren't getting the interactions I wanted, etc., etc., etc. And everyone was phenomenal at that point, but they don't realise that 2 months before, you're getting people not necessarily agreeing with your decision or your opinions, and therefore they're just going about, I don't know, weight or looks or, you know, anything. You know, mine was particularly because I was from Birmingham, not Liverpool, and it really used to fuck me off, because it doesn't mean I don't love this club as much as you. It doesn't mean I don't go every game. You know, it's all a load of bollocks.
The thing that hurts is a lot of the time with these things, they're playing on what are your own insecurities anyway. So whether it be weight or whether it be looks or whether it be whatever, and you could get 50 lovely comments, but still focus and obsess on that one negative. That's my type of personality anyway, because I'm very insecure and you want to win everyone over. You want everyone to like you. So it's getting to a point where you just, you know, I've been very lucky. I've nearly quit. God, you say once or twice, probably 20 times, to be honest with you. And I've been talked back by a great group of subscribers, and all clubs fans right across the board have come together and shown me a lot of love. And it's only because of people that have helped me that I'm here. And that's why I'm going to continue to talk about mental health and the impact of it, because I don't want to wake up and read about another Caroline Flack. I don't want to wake up and read about another YouTuber who's, you know, attempted to harm themselves or anything like that because of abuse, because it's people projecting their own pain on others. And as I said, I recognize this because I've been there. I've been like, I'll give you an example. I said recently, we have a Discord group for our members, and one of our members suggested that why don't you reach out to a few of the Liverpool channels and try and make a video for Klopp, because his mother had just died. You seen him at that press conference, and I recognized that look in his face of just mental exhaustion. So I put up on Twitter, like, you know, why don't we, and I tagged a few channels, and look, none of the channels have anything to do with what I'm about to say because they weren't involved in it, but the level of abuse that I got for just trying to do something nice, to say that I was, you know, I sat on the wall at Melwood once and I think I know everything about Liverpool. No, I've seen a man who was suffering, a man that has given me the best years of my life supporting the club, and wanted to just try and do something nice. And then the funny thing is, later on that day, a banner was unveiled outside Anfield saying, Jurgen Klopp can never walk alone, which was class and beautiful and a lovely gesture. But of course, that got lauded because it was done by locals, whereas unfortunately, my idea was from a non-local. And I don't want to paint all locals because, as I said, the actual real-life experience I've had with Scousers from both sides, red and blue, top-notch, real salt-of-the-earth people who I'd happily sit down and talk footy with any day of the week.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. I think you spot on. I was a little bit. I saw that face from Klopp. I was a bit pissed off with his comments in the match conference before, because he looked a broken man when he had to say that he conceded the title. He couldn't go to his mum's funeral. It must have been horrific for Klopp. You know, that week, that feeling, and you could see it on his face. It was horrible. And it was the fact that he come out and dug out Everton in a press conference saying, look, we don't want to be on the same points as Everton. That's a bad season. I sat there and thought, you fucker, I've backed you all week. And you fucking come out and say that, you absolute wind-up merchant. But you've got to respect him for that at times. You know, he is what he is, and it's been real shit for him over the last 3 weeks.
And not just for Klopp. I think a lot of people throughout the UK or around the world are in similar positions, man. Like, they haven't been able to attend a loved one's funeral or visit a grandparent, and that's what goes back to what I was saying. Like, there's a level of toxicity around right now because everybody's frustrated. Everything in life, man. Not just football. Football for us guys is I think the hardest part for me was the 3 months without football. That was the worst part of it all for me. I mean, at least usually football gives us an escape, but when you've got, from our perspective, when you've got 4 home losses in a row now, and your one go-to escape is capitulating on you, that's where I think I understand some fans needing to vent. But it's about doing it in the right way and trying to vent in and I suppose, what's the phrase I'm looking for here? Trying to vent in constructive manner rather than just a toxic manner. I think people are tuning in, mate, probably watching this expecting a whole other video, probably expecting us two to be at each other's throats here. Because we run a second channel called MUNDO SPORTO and had to get a plug in, sorry. When we're on there, it's for non-Liverpool games. So we have a few different hosts. Lee Chappie does a bit, I do a bit, Jack Gill does a bit. And, you know, I do a lot of the United games on there because I get on well with United fans. I spoke about clubs rallying around behind me. Well, a large section of United fans really had my back and helped me out when I was feeling low. So with this channel and the amount of people who cannot comprehend that I'm able, or other people are able, to have a civilized conversation around the game and give an honest opinion without bias is seems to shock quite a few people. So I think the more we make this style of content, the more, you know, opposition fans like myself and yourself sit down and just give honest opinions and don't have to, you know, tear into each other's clubs. No, I think it'll make for better content as well moving forward. We still hate each other's clubs, like, to an extent. Don't get me wrong.
And you know, when you said earlier about, you know, how you lost the league by a point, in my head I'm sitting there going, that was at Goodison. You lost them 2 points at Goodison, but you look, it's happy times. It's happy times to be an Everton fan right now. Last question, then I promise, and then I'll let you go, Craig. Very last question, and I've got to ask you on an Everton channel, what are Everton going to do this season? What's your opinion on Everton this season?
I think
careful, because it'll get clicked. It'll get clicked.
No, I'm gonna give my honest view on this because that's all I'll ever give when I'm asked a question. Like us, I think fourth is probably your highest ambition. You do have a game in hand over us. I take that on board. And so you could move 3 points ahead of us if you win that, which puts you 2 behind West Ham. If anybody, yourself included, can put a run of 4 or 5 wins together, they're going to cement their place in that top 4. So I suppose the big question for an Everton fan is, if you don't make top 4, is Europa League okay? Because there's so many clubs fighting for that spot right now. There's you know, United and Leicester could be within your sides, fair enough. They're probably on the edge of being too far away from us as at this moment in time with the form we have. So you guys should be dreaming. You guys should be happy. And that's what football is all about. If you can't be happy when you're a football fan in these positions, then throw your hat at it. So Everton fans have every right to be optimistic. They've every right to look that their club is going the right way. They've every right to be happy with the manager. And they've every right to be going around bragging to every Liverpool fan right now that they beat us at Anfield. That's the cold hard facts about it from my perspective, mate. And I hope you don't finish top 4, obviously.
Craig, honestly, mate, this has been you've been brilliant. You've been absolutely brilliant. You've been open, honest. I was a bit worried because, as I said to you beforehand, you know, you're someone that I've watched for a long time and respected what you do and the setup and everything. And obviously, I know SPORTO MUNDO as well. Go and subscribe to that channel as well. It's flying at the minute. I think it's 13,500 subs is that on, as well as the 80,000.
Yeah, it's just past 13k, and we've only been going since middle of December. So yeah, absolutely chuffed. But it's you know what, mate? Between me and you and the people watching, it started out as just an excuse with the wife to allow me to watch more football. You know, it's work, love. I got to do it. I don't want to be watching United, love, but I have to do it. Or I don't want to be watching City, but I have to do it. Do you know what I mean? If you get away with it, of course.
Well done, honest to God. I wish I could use that excuse. Fuck, you know. Craig, genuinely, mate, thank you ever so much. Obviously, everyone will know where to find you already, but the link to your channel is in the description below. So go over and subscribe to Craig and Anfield Agenda and SPORTO MUNDO. Go over and subscribe. The SPORTO MUNDO one's really quite funny, actually, because you did the Real Sociedad game the other day, and it was quite funny to see because you genuinely could see the pain in your face as Man United put 4 past them. It was hilarious, to be honest. So, yeah, Craig, thank you ever so much for coming on, mate. I really appreciate it.
Hey, look, it's a pleasure. And to everyone watching, whether you're red, blue, or somewhere in the middle, or a different club's fan, be safe, be well. Lots of love to you. And yeah, I hope that I've maybe cleared a few things up, and I hope I've maybe got rid of a few misconceptions about me. But you know what, mate? I've met another fan of the game. I've met another person that I can call a mate now, and somebody that I hope to have on our channel as well. So lots of love to all of you, and hopefully you finish 5th or 6th.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, cheers. Thanks, Craig. I'll see you soon, mate.